I can see it. You can make presenter mode. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to everybody out there in the world. It's another great opportunity to learn a lot for living, for life, forever, because today Virtual Happy Hour 3.0 and the fantastic country of India is being presented from Aditi. Stage is yours, and I'm already amazed.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Thanks to everyone to happen to be here. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. So let's begin. So I welcome you all on behalf of all the Indians to my incredible India. I'm Aditi, and I work with Indigo as a director for crew planning team. And I've lived in India, born and brought up in New Delhi, the capital of India, all my life.
So you are a capitalist then?
Sorry?
You are a capitalist then? Me too, I'm from Berlin. We are both have something in common.
Yes, quite. So here you go, that's the world map. And right here is India in the Asian subcontinent. It's the 7th largest country by area. So let me take you to a history of India, but then trust me, I'm not going to sound it like a history lecture, and I'm not going to take too long. I'll just give you a quick history of India. So the Indus Valley civilization is where it all started, and it dates back to about 2500 BC to about 1500 BC. So there were evidences which were recovered around 1920s of a well-developed existence of civilization. So it had well-planned towns, houses, trade roads, drainage systems, everything very sophisticated in a manner, and everyone was really amazed when the entire setup was identified. So the ruins of buildings and other things like household articles, weapons of war, gold and silver ornaments, seals, toys, potteryware, etc. show that some 4,000 to 5,000 years ago, a highly developed civilization flourished in this region. So that's the ancient India. And right after that, the entire Vedic Indian setup started. I'm not too sure if you're interested in mythology and you've read about Mahabharata and Ramayana. That's what happened next. And then came the rise of Buddhism and the Buddhist era. And then we moved on to the British rule in India. And in 1947, finally, we got our independence. So that was India then. And let me take you to the India now. So now the population of India is about 1.380 billion. We have 28 states with 8 union territories. And trust me, every state is absolutely different, be it food, be it culture, be it region, people, language, everything's absolutely different in every state. And if some of you have traveled to some of the states, you would have identified that. We have about 1,500 languages spoken in India. So practically from here to about 50 kilometers away from here, the dialect or the language or the words, they'll change. So even if
500, so many, wow.
Yes. So even when I go down south, I don't understand. I have to converse in English because that's the only language we can connect with. So 23 official languages, including Sanskrit, English, and Hindi. And India, surprisingly, is world's 2nd largest English-speaking country, which a lot of people find very surprising when they talk and everything. Oh, wow, your English is quite fluent, or you understand English. There are a lot of notions about Indians, so probably I thought it's important to just mention. Even like when we travel and we connect with different people, a lot of times most of the conversation is actually in English. Or we just pick words, and out of words we happen to converse. Like when we go out of India, that's what happens in a Spanish-speaking or a German-speaking country. So an economic update. India is the largest producer of milk, sugar, jute, pulses, to name a few, and the 2nd largest producer of rice.
Sorry, what is jute and pulses?
So pulses is, how do I explain? If you've heard of the dal, the curry with the rice and everything, if you eat, it's the grains of the rice. And jute is a material. A lot of those bags are made of jute.
Ah, jute. Okay, I know that one, but I know the Latin version.
Yes. So jute is very famous in India. And then in It's the second largest producer of rice, wheat, sugarcane, cotton, groundnuts, fruits, and vegetables, and the second largest producer and the largest consumer of silk. Now, when I read this, I actually feel that I should have worn silk to then mention. And Daniel, if you've traveled a lot in the South, silk is what everyone prefers to wear in the South, especially. Major industries are iron and steel, textiles, jute, sugar, cement, paper, petrochemical, automobile, IT, banking, and insurance industries.
But there's one thing is missing.
Airline?
You're number one in the world in consuming whiskey.
Yeah.
I should have covered that.
And potentially also producing it then, potentially.
We were saving that for a real, not a virtual happy hour, but a real happy hour.
Okay, good idea.
They don't consume it, they inhale it.
Yeah, Jeremy loves it when we do that. So some facts, and I've put completely two opposite facts together on one slide, which is math, which is something absolutely I don't understand. But yeah, so Aryabhatta and Ramanujan, two famous mathematicians from India who first brought the concept of zero. So that's where the entire mathematics started. And India is the largest producer of films in terms of quantity in 2016. So people who don't want to study, get into the film industry. Bollywood is completely a thing here. So a lot of movies get produced and in the country generated about
What we heard the other day, there's not only Bollywood, you've got several centers where films are made, isn't it?
Yes, many. So like you can see films in India are created in about 20 languages. We only understand English or Hindi, but yeah, there's
From Kerala, it is Mollywood.
yes, Mollywood. There's Mollywood and Tollywood and Bollywood and I don't know what all. Too many. So yeah, the movie, the Tollywood, I think Mollywood or Tollywood, whatever, the southern movie region, it's extremely famous. So I'm sure you must have heard about Rajnikant as well.
I have to tell that in Riga there are special events when people, a lot of, how to say, alternative thinking people, they gather and watch just Bollywood movies, like in a large scale, like outdoor events where they consume wine and have fun watching Indian movies.
Yes, we have a few of those. And even the place, like I was mentioning right before we started, there's this place where the vineyards are there in Nasik. Even there, we have an entire wine fest. So beautiful place, beautiful wine, and the entire setup is very beautiful around that time. So it's really nice there. So some well-known Indians. Talk about Mahatma Gandhi. We call him the father of the nation, Bapu, as we call him.
No. Mahatma Gandhi, he was not an Indian because MG was reclaiming him to be South African.
Exactly.
Yes, yes. No, let's go back and read the facts. I'm freshly read now.
No,
you were spreading fake news. That's not possible, MG. How can you do that?
I said he was a citizen of South Africa.
He was a
He
citizen
worked
of South Africa because he did a lot of work in South Africa towards peace, equality, the rights of different regions and everyone. So that's where the entire work came from South Africa. In fact, from India, he first went to England to do his law and he did a lot of work there and then he moved to South Africa and he gained the citizenship as well. But he is the one from the front for the freedom of India and led a lot of different movements of the Quit India movement of the Britishers and a lot of those movements. So he's been really treated like God around that time.
Actually, the movie with Ben Kingsley is one of my favorite movies.
Oh, sweet.
Very good story.
That's nice. Yes, and we were really surprised when we went to England. A lot of places really had, or even South Africa for that matter, they had statues of Mahatma Gandhi, and I saw it more there than in India. But in India also equally he's treated really like a god. And there are really places wherein he did an entire march. So the entire march statue of about 12 people. It's there in one of the regions in Delhi also, right in the center of Delhi.
But the thing is, he you know, if you learn a lot about him at school, for example, in Europe or in Germany, because his, you know, revolution in freedom without any violence, it's something. There he's a role model, and they use him actually in schools to teach us, let's say moral or alignment, something like that. Yeah, it's quite used.
Reading his biography, My Experiments with Truth, I think.
Yeah.
Back in school, yeah. So a lot of that was mentioned in there as well, about how he really led the entire nation towards the non-violence. He didn't really want to. There's an entire saying, and it was said that whenever somebody used to want to slap him on one cheek, he would like put his other cheek in front to get the other one. That's how non-violent he was, and still very strong-headed in respect to spreading his message across. Yeah. Rabindranath Tagore, he was a great poet and also the writer of our national anthem. Great Khali. So I've tried to put together different people completely of different aspects. He was a professional wrestler, great human again. Amitabh Bachchan, I don't know how many of you have learned about him, heard about him. He's one of the most famous personalities in India, completely Bollywood. But yeah, he spent his entire life doing movies, and he's got a statue in the Madame Tussauds Museum and is a world famous personality in a lot of other places. Ruskin Bond, I don't know if you've heard about him. He's again a great author, has read many books and very, very humble. Like a lot of kids used to go to the particular, it's a hill station in India where he stayed. So a lot of kids would really just go line up, try to just get a sense of him, have a look at him, and he would very sweetly oblige everyone, discuss all his stories, discussions, everything. Mother Teresa, she's completely synonym to peace. She's done a lot of work in the social work circle, and a lot of international exposure was there around her time when she was working and towards the social norms.
Well, that's more in Calicut, isn't it?
Like which one?
That's more. Didn't she stay in Calicut or Calcutta?
Yes.
Yeah, Calicut.
Yes. Right.
But wasn't she Macedonian?
Albanian.
Albanian. Okay, my husband says Albanian, but I thought Macedonian.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Then.
Yeah, but that's not. But that's where she spent her life, actually, in Calicut.
Then we have Virat Kohli. Don't know how many of you are cricket fans. He is cricket captain. So yeah, he's one of the most famous right now with respect to cricket. But then we have legends in cricket like Sachin Tendulkar, Kapil Dev.
I will never forget this. Last year, around this time, I had my introduction to IBS. And I was sitting on that evening where India lost at the airport, flying from Bangalore down back to Trivandrum. And I will never forget this, how the people were disappointed. And then I had my driver in Trivandrum, who IBS organized, and he was crying in the car because you guys lost in cricket. Unbelievable. And the funny thing was, the discussion after it was then basically, because if we are fans of cricket, the TV rights for the final were that expensive, but with India out of the competition, about 3 billion people would move out of, or something like that, would move out of watching the Cricket World Championship or something.
Yeah, it's like a religion in India.
Yeah.
It is a religion.
So we play a lot against India. I think the IPL was once or twice held in South Africa due to some just after that horrific incident at the hotel in Mumbai.
Mm-hmm.
They moved the IPL to South Africa for a year, and that was great to see all of these Indian cricket stars there.
South Africa actually play cricket?
Well, Jeremy, you're from New Zealand. I'd rather stay quiet if it comes around cricket. So, and let's talk about the Rugby World Cup final if you want to. So actually, what I wanted to say was I read yesterday that he's the highest paid sports person in India, but the second highest paid sports person is a young 23-year-old lady that won a silver medal in badminton.
Oh, okay.
At the Olympics. So it's
Wow.
So
I have a slide on sports as well. I'll take you through that too. And PM Modi, he's our Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He's a well-known personality and has been doing a lot of work with the other countries on peace missions. Within the country, he's made a lot of significant changes. So we have strong Modi supporters and strong anti-people. So yeah, we have like a full democratic government, and people voice out their concerns very freely. Then that's Mr. Ambani. So Mr. Ambani is India's most richest man, but apart from being that, he's one of the world's most richest person as well. And I was reading an interesting trivia about him, that his residential property is the world's most expensive residential property, which is almost amounting to $1 billion.
I have a question. I'm surprised because did you use Google to find all these things?
Some, not all.
And we are using MS Teams, which is a Microsoft. And I'm now astonished that you're not mentioning the Indian CEO of Microsoft, the Indian CEO of Google. And that's interesting.
So what I did was I was actually trying to put together the Indian CEO of Microsoft, of Google, Wipro, all of them. And then I decided, you know what, but they've moved out. Let me not mention someone who's not around right now.
Ah, okay.
I changed the people around it. So the weather in India, and if some of you all have visited Delhi, we completely see the extremes from the hottest of the weather to like 45, 46, 48 degrees Celsius to about 4 and 5 in winters, dropping down to about 2 last year in winters. So, but then across India, we have all different sorts of weather. Somewhere it snows, somewhere it's like complete monsoon, raining continuously, extreme hot at certain places, and then there's a pure autumn where you don't even need air conditioning the entire year.
And it gets even better when they all burn the rice fields. I will never forget that. November day.
That's the most interesting part. That again for the north, rather. We get the pleasure of that. That's why when coronavirus time we were told to wear masks and everything, we were like, we've dealt with worse.
Do it.
Food. Coming down to food, so I'm sure a lot of you would have, when you read about India, you would have read about how Vasco da Gama visited India, got interested in the trade, got interested in the spices. So all the spices right up lined here for you, looking at different kind of spices used across the entire nation, and I've tried to put together the different food available across the nation. So on the left, the breads that you see on the left with some spicy little gravy and all, it's more food, the kind of street food you find in the West, Mumbai and the sides around there, where a lot of people would prefer to eat something like that. Whereas on the eastern side, dim sums are more famous and lighter food and boiled, and all of that is what is preferred in the east. Tandoori chicken is one of the favorites in the north, and I think across as well. When you talk about non-vegetarian, tandoori chickens is one of the most famous. It's also called the authentic Mughlai food as well in India.
And is it also very common? Because let's say in some Western countries, you mentioned the calories per dish. So you also mention how many calories is attached to the dish? No?
We have stopped counting calories now.
Very good.
Especially the lockdown phase, completely new to counting calories.
I almost liked it. I tasted the calories.
I think there is a hint. If you put things in an oven, the calories are usually burned. So that's, I think, a hint I can give you.
True. So something on the right, Daniel, you guys would be more familiar with. I'm sure Trivandrum and Kerala and everywhere around there. This dosas and idlis, vadas and utpam and all of this is very famous. Serving on a leaf is a traditional way how food is served in southern part of India. On the left is like a lavish thali or a platter, as you call in a more massive term. Has different kind of food available from like sweet dish, starters, main course, everything included. And actually one of the restaurants and a pub very close to our office has actually started serving this entire platter in like a map-like format. I was thinking of putting a picture, but that would have been too awkward to do that. So I just put together a different picture there. But yeah, just to show the different kinds of dishes, it's just all in one place.
And when are you starting with the spices? Do you get this already as a baby, or is there kind of an minimum age when you get all these spicy things, or is it already given with the mother milk?
I think we develop with it. So we're completely accustomed. No, to be honest, like my nephew is about 7 months, 8 months old, and we've not given him any of the spices, so he has no taste right now. After a year and a half, we then start giving them a little sugar, and spices and all come only after like 1.5 years, 2 years later. So till now,
he gets it really via the mother milk, because eating that much spices it influences how the mother milk is produced. Actually, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. So surprisingly, just like any other Indian would presume, or everywhere else, it's assumed that the Indians eat very spicy food. I also cannot eat too spicy.
But this food thing is, I think, one of the biggest thing for Indian colleagues, because when I'm asking my colleagues who are not living in India anymore, what are they missing most? They always mention the food. Yes. And I cannot say that when I'm somewhere abroad that I'm missing German food. Now you can complain German food is crap and all that stuff, but for me that's striking that the Indians are so close attached to their food.
That's true.
Yeah, whereas maybe if you take off a smartphone of a German or his car, then that's a problem, but not the food. Yeah. So,
yeah.
But I think it's also if you cook a lot, Daniel, which you don't. And if you look at recipes, I think the biggest variety of dishes around the globe, I don't know who's more, but it goes between China and India. Definitely. And I think it has something to do actually with the variety of countries and cultures actually in the country. But Indian cookbooks, they are like thousands of recipes.
Yeah, there's just endless. And for every there are just thousands of ways of cooking it as well. So it's not just this particular dish is supposed to be made this way. There are n number of ways and different spices, so different taste each time, different gravies, different curries, everything's different. Try going to a typical household in India. The conversations are just food. Starting from what would you eat?
I can tell you when my parents-in-law visit us, we're also only talking about food. So I think
so it's a parent's
universal, yeah. And but food is great, and but I believe there is a very special addiction to the Indian food, and potentially because I would say usually Germans are known to quickly eat, and maybe in India and like in Italy and France, it's more like a ceremony and it's a more family thing. That's why food is very much in the center of life. It's bonding and so on, and why it's potentially also having such a vital role. And then Anuja just joined. Anuja, you were there?
Yes, Daniel. Sorry, I was a bit
late. Most? Is it your food when you're now in Germany, or because we're just talking that when I'm asking my Indian colleagues what are they missing most, they quickly say the food, the Indian food.
No, not exactly, because
I
have started adjusting to German food also, so it's yeah, it's not a Indian food, but maybe the crowd. Always used to go out and see 1,000 people around, feel like quite lonely, in a house lonely, when you go out lonely. So that is a major thing I miss.
Yeah.
Not food anyways, because we cook, we take our food wherever we go.
Yeah.
So wherever we go, we make our food.
Yeah.
Or then please cook for us, because the Indian restaurants in Germany are absolutely crap.
Yeah, but I was told that these are not Indians. They are very often Pakistani who pretend to be Indian.
Yeah, and actually that is the German version of the Indian food without any spices. It just looks like Indian food. It don't taste like Indian food.
But it's the same. All the Italian restaurants are from Albania. So they are also not Italians.
Mm.
Yeah.
And again, when you call Indian food outside India, it's only North Indian food. But North Indian food is just maybe 5% of what India can offer you.
Oh, it's from North India. Be careful, huh? We don't want to call people here.
The only place where you can get something equivalent, I think, is in Birmingham or London or something in the UK. Other than that, it's very difficult to get Indian.
I have heard that in UK it is a little bit more typical Indian food you get, probably because of the culture there, because of the previous association we had with Britain. I don't know what is the reason, but I have never tasted Indian food in Germany.
A lot of people. If you go to Birmingham, for example, there are more people from the Indian subcontinent in Birmingham than there are English people. That's true. It's 60% of the people living there, and that's why they want to buy their own food, I think, if they go to a restaurant or something like that.
So what do I say in Miami? It's a complete lie. Whatever I eat, which is Indian, is a complete lie.
I'm sure it is not an Indian food. Probably need to see. I've never been to Miami yet.
I'm gonna start taking pictures. Yeah, and sending to you to see if I get an approval.
Yeah.
Nick, I can mention something. I was on a conference in Atlanta, and I met who became then later one of my colleagues at Unisys, an Indian guy called Venki. And he said, oh, we need to go to this Indian place because that's the only one he knows in Atlanta which is original. And we drove about an hour outside of Atlanta. It's unbelievable how far we drove actually to go to this restaurant. And then I asked him, why did we have to go that far? And he said, hey, in the surrounding of Atlanta, that's the only Indian restaurant you can eat.
Yeah, that's a typical feature of Indians. Like you go for a tourist location, instead of going and eating that place's food, we search for an Indian restaurant. I've done that many times. Going to Amsterdam, searching for an Indian restaurant. Going to Paris, searching for an Indian restaurant. So it's typical for an Indian.
We call it fusion. Indian fusion. We eat Indian anywhere. It doesn't matter. It's Indian fusion. American Indian fusion.
So ironically, all the I think there's only 2 or 3 Indian restaurants in Pretoria are all higher end, fine dining type of restaurants. So it's when you go for Indian food in Pretoria, you're actually going to a fancy restaurant every time.
Yeah, also in Germany, they are very expensive and they do really fancy, etc. But the food is actually crap. That's what bothers me a lot here in Germany, especially in Frankfurt. It's terrible.
Right. And Aditi, I'm missing biryani in this list.
Yes, the biryani is right here.
Okay, that's there. Yeah.
I made vegan biryani. I'm just saying, okay.
I have to admit, we are pretty much Indian style. We have this crossover. Everybody's speaking up and so on. What I'm missing is a little bit. This is not. No.
The head shaking.
Yeah.
Daniel.
We are actually trying to avoid that in front of the criticizing Germans.
No, I'm not criticizing. Come on. But it's a fact. But interestingly, in this book, I'm always recommending to all my Western colleagues. Speaking of India, it's exactly said. If you say to an Indian, they're nodding their head. They say, no, we are not doing it. Yeah, but
yes,
it's okay. The Italians do like this, and so. It's very expressive.
People like Daniel and myself,
we want to get the feedback. Somebody is listening to me. That's already good.
We want to understand what it exactly means, because I have learned it's not a yes and not a no. So what is it then?
It depends how many times you nod your head. So
what? Really?
Yes. Yes.
Sound.
No. In which direction you are nodding. So you have to be a little bit more observant about what we are doing. So there are different patterns.
Interesting.
I just.
But you're not doing it.
Ashok told
I'm
me.
trying to avoid it, Nikki.
I know, but then how are we gonna be observant if we don't do it?
Hey, Daniel, I've got an idea for a
practice.
virtual happy hour. Why don't we do a head nodding training for everybody who has something to do with India?
Maybe we should let Aditi to complete this, and we will have a 15 minutes training about the head nodding.
Okay.
If you go on YouTube, you have exactly a lot of these videos, I believe.
Let the girls continue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes,
And
please.
if I couldn't add, it could be a yes or a no, or I've lost you completely now beyond this point. So the nod also means that sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll continue from the spices. I move to the sweets. Again, in India, you have tons of sweets everywhere. There's a different type of sweet. I've tried to cover again different regions, different kind of sweets, and I would have had to do the entire presentation on the number of sweets in India. So that's made out of radish. It's some cheese. This one's from the one on the top is from down south. So you guys have tried that, Daniel, anytime when you were visiting?
Well, I know already because I like all these sauces and so on, and I know already the calories. And my wife is always putting pressure on me, and so that's why I have to take care of my hips. So that's why I try to avoid the sweets. But I think I tried this one here on the right top one, and but I think we had also in Delhi.
We had on the left-hand side these round kringle things, and we had a very rich milky sauce with it.
Yeah, does. And
I've eaten
sugar and
three
milk.
chilies. I made the
What is that?
It was even taped on video. How I've eaten 3 chilies.
What are the desserts on the left?
This one, the circle continuous. It's more like a sugar syrup. So it is completely sweet. It's best eaten hot. So the sugar syrup is practically dripping all throughout while you're having that, and it's really nice, very very tasty.
And the interesting thing is that Aditi, you get that in Germany in Iranian shops. It's very tasty, exactly like what we get in India.
Oh wow, that's nice.
And what is the top? What is the top?
Silk Road, actually, isn't it? From
Jalebi.
Called the jalebi. The one on the top, like so small kids call this like a bomb or a ball or something, because it's just a circle. And there are different kind of these. It's called laddus, and there are different kinds that are created with different ingredients as well. And a lot of people would probably keep that for winters as well, because some of it is to keep you warm too. So it's got its different reasons of being there too when people have.
And the pudding in the middle?
Sweets to keep you warm. That's a new concept. I need to. That's a good way of selling why you need to eat sweets.
So when you eat these sweets, a lot of these sweets are also having a lot of crushed dry fruits. So it keeps you healthy, keeps you warm. Different regions, people use it differently. They put different ingredients. A lot of these are also made in the houses itself. So some of our moms and some of my...
Why are they so extremely sweet? I mean, it's nothing, it's light, they're really sugary, or a lot of honey is being used.
No, it depends. So a lot of places you'll find low sugar variants as well of the same sweets.
Yeah, but that's cheating.
Yes.
Yeah, but you're German, and you 3 Germans down there. In my video, you cannot discuss that, because every German says to every dessert all over the world, "Oh, it's so sweet." Yes, South Americans, Latinos, Indians, everybody eats sweets. Just the Germans are the ones that don't put sugar in cake. Just saying.
Not even in ice creams. The ice creams you get in Germany is not sweet.
Either like my mother or like your president.
No, my president is a mess.
No, you're shouting at me like my mother used to shout at me, or your president keeps shouting.
Sorry, I was too close to my...
Which president are you referring to? The Brazilian or the American one?
Yes, I was too close to my speak. I'm sorry.
Either one probably works.
Yeah, both presidents are one of a kind. No, desserts have to be sweet.
Better not mention the Brazilian president.
Oh no, leave
Let's
that
talk
one.
about
Well, I have
Let's
to deal
hope we
with a
rise
lot.
up COVID. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I'll move away from the food.
Yeah.
I think it's too tempting for all of us. Let's just move away from the food now.
Do you have a slide
My
on?
favorite subject.
You have a slide on chilies. Otherwise, Daniel has a video on chilies.
I don't eat chilies. In fact, I don't eat too much of sweet as well. So I kept very short slides on those.
We had a nice evening where we had a challenge with chilies.
Really?
That was actually one of the best places, one of the best Indian restaurants that I've ever been to.
That was
Let's talk about World Heritage sites, guys.
Yeah.
Oh. Someone just had lunch, I suppose.
I did. Sorry, I'm hiding. I'm here.
Okay, so that's the Taj Mahal on the left in Agra. It's one of the world's most visited place across the globe, and then also one of the 7 wonders, as we say in the list. This is from the south. There are a lot of temples in the south. I'm sure whoever is from the south would have been there. A lot of these temples are World Heritage sited. On the left at the bottom, this is Qutub Minar. This is in Delhi. Again, something that was created ages ago. It's the tallest brick building in the world. This is Amer Fort in Jaipur. This is also another beautiful place. In fact, if you ever happen to visit Jaipur, a lot of these places are there that I can talk about. And future slides, I'll cover a little bit of it in the next few slides. So connecting people, India has the 2nd largest network of roads in the world. The world's highest rail bridges, you can see in this picture on the right-hand side. Largest rail network in Asia, carrying over 23 million passengers daily, which is almost equal to the population of Australia. The Bandra-Worli ceiling has steel wires equal to the Earth's circumference, and I was really amazed to read about it. So this entire bridge on this left, the ceiling has been created recently, and it connects one part of Bombay to the other part of Bombay, like the suburbs to the other side of Bombay, and it's huge.
I need to digest that. So this Bandra thing is at the left bottom corner?
Yes, yes.
And the steel wires, these are the wires of that suspension
yes.
towers. And they all put together have the cover a distance of the Earth's circumference.
Yes, I've also read that recently. That's why I said it was like an entire learning experience where I was just going through, getting together the facts, reading through different stuff. And I was like, wow, I didn't know this completely. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Moving on. So we have
65. So you have 323 million passengers every day. That's you in 1 year. You carry the world's population.
Yes, and that's why I always say that the air transport is completely less penetrated right now, and there is so much more scope in the air travel business.
23 million times 365 days is 8.4 billion, which is, yeah, everyone on this planet could do a train ride once in India in a year.
We wish. So, like I mentioned to you all, that India has all the religions living together in the same place. India happens to have the most number of mosques in the world, which is over 3 lakh, and the largest postal network in the world. And India also holds the record of the highest post office by altitude, and the only one in the world which is floating. So I've put a picture of the floating post office, which is there in the north. And on the left-hand side, you can see Golden Temple, which is the worship place for the Sikhs. The Sikh are the people wearing the turbans. Islam, I've put a picture of the mosque and one of the famous churches. Some places to visit while in this part of the world, and I've completely tried to avoid the Delhi Bombays. I don't want to talk about it. I'm sure a lot have been read, or you must have gone through Delhi and Bombay and Bangalore, the metro, so I've tried to cover the other states. So Ladakh. Ladakh is the world's highest motorable road. A lot of experienced trekkers and people who love to ride bikes. Groups and groups they take the bike from Delhi, and there are some of the most difficult roads to travel across to finally reach Ladakh. And it has the world's highest motorable road. In fact, it has a magnetic hill as well, if I remember, and it works kind of against the gravity while the car pulls. On the left-hand side,
take my skateboard there.
Yeah. It's a beautiful place, very beautiful, very picturesque. It's got the browns in some parts, and it's got the brightest of colors in other parts of Ladakh, wherein the blues, greens, the turquoise, all the other colors are seen. There's a small ice cafe built up there for little snacks, tea, coffee. Another one on the list is Meghalaya. Meghalaya is the wettest inhabited and the highest average rainfall in the world. I put together the small flowers. So when I visited Meghalaya, the people are so nice and so amicable there. The cab driver who was showing us around, so the next morning he turns up and brings all the local flowers which are there in their small forest region, and he put together a bouquet and he got it for us. So he kept it in the car right there as a token of friendship. So as you see here on the right, it's a double root bridge. So just from the trees, a man once decided back in the ages, there's no way to cross from one place to the other, managed to somehow grow the trees in a direction that the trees actually made the bridges, and they're lying on top one another, and it's preserved now to then make an entire bridge of the natural forest and the tree.
Bottom left picture is cool because it looks like the boat is floating.
Yes, so it's actually that beautiful, and I actually went there last year around the same time. Last year, August, I went there, and this is called Dauki, this place, and this is actually spotless, and it's completely, I think it's very near the border of India and Bangladesh. There's barely any distance left to then cross over. It's a completely barren land, and then Bangladesh starts. It's that part of India, and this very beautiful. If you see the other pictures, there's rainfall continuously happening there. Even the valley on top of it, there are multiple waterfalls, again very, very small, as you may see one day, and after the rain suddenly there's just water flowing in the entire velocity. This was again one bridge, an example, and these are 2-3 of them are real pictures. This was again one bridge wherein we saw this was completely fine this one evening prior, and the next evening, if I show you the pictures, there was an entire waterfall flowing right below this where this mountain was ending. So a beautiful place. Kashmir. Kashmir is up there in the northern part of India, extremely beautiful. There are gondola to take you on top, and there are multiple kinds of things that you can do in Kashmir. There's skiing in winters, there's whitewater river rafting there, there's horse riding up the hills, there are multiple other, there's many trekking camps there, there's a lot to do up there. There's an entire, in the right weather, you get the best flowers and the best weather there too. So one part is like an entire, so I don't know if you've heard of Gulmarg. So Gulmarg, the entire place has a golf link in the entire middle of the city of Gulmarg, and it's small. Right up there, from there you can take the gondola and go to the place high up there to see the snow fall and everything. And during winters, the entire golfing place is covered with the snow, and there are camps to train people on skiing and then ice skating and all of that. Uttarakhand. So Uttarakhand is also on a very drivable distance from Delhi. It's got different varieties. As you know, India is very famous for temples. So it's got one of the most beautiful temples in the middle of the hills, Kedarnath, and it's supposed to be one of the most difficult to reach, and beyond that, if you even go, there are more difficult religious pilgrimage places. But it's got a completely beautiful backdrop. The one on the top, that's actually my university, so I put it there as one of the important things to remember from Uttarakhand. It's right in the middle of hills, lap of nature. So while whenever we used to get bored or something, looking out of the classroom, just hills and clouds and a beautiful weather all around was always there to support. The one on the left on top, again, there are a lot of places going for trekking and all. These activities are all there in Uttarakhand. It's actually very famous for paragliding, for hot air ballooning as well. This picture in the middle, there are places where, and it's called, with this fire you light up and you do the entire, it's like a devotee for the god, the prayers in the evenings. And it's a beautiful atmosphere. You can just hear the wind chimes, you can just hear the bells, and the people worshipping with just the fire. So it's a very, very beautiful and serene view to watch from a distance. Whenever you happen to, it's beautiful to see. Rajasthan. So it's one of my personal favorites as well. So in Rajasthan, probably you can find everything possible. So Udaipur, there's a place in Rajasthan. The entire backdrop of Rajasthan always gives you a very royal feeling. So the biggest of palaces, forts, where the entire the kingdoms were there, and they have huge palaces, huge forts. They've all converted some of those into heritage resorts and heritage hotels and all. So it's beautiful when you go there for a night stay also, or when you go there for a visit. Sorry? So when you go there for a visit, you almost are made to feel like a king or a prince and a princess trying to visit a place. So very, very colorful. There are these hot air balloon, there's an entire fest that happens, there's a Pushkar fest that happens, very colorful again. There are multiple folk dances that are there, and about, wouldn't be less to say there are more than 10-15 dance forms that are still today practiced in there. So when you go for these shows in the evening, they'll show you the different dance forms that are still practiced in Rajasthan as a whole. There's an entire desert where you can go for camping, the camel ride and the stay, and they do that entire performance at night with these folk dances and all. Goa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, Jeremy, I think you should explain Goa.
Yeah, it's a great place.
Because the liquor is so cheap, I know that.
I go for the culture.
Yeah. You mean the culture called Feni?
Yeah, I've kept a picture of Penny as well. But yeah, the liquor is quite cheap, very cheap rather.
No, we had an IBS event in Goa, so that's why we know a little bit from it.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
But we were there for work, so there was no fun, no liquor, no nothing, and yeah.
That's what I don't believe, Daniel.
No one takes you to Goa and not give you liquor.
We couldn't see the beach, nothing. It was really, we were walking all the day.
Yeah,
We trust you, Daniel.
You can say that with a straight face.
Yes. So all the festivals are celebrated like an entire event in Goa, and then everything's very lavish. All you do is just eat the great seafood, drink, sleep, and repeat. That's all you do in Goa. There's a nice waterfall also just close by.
Do people go diving?
From the guys from Portugal, or was it that the Portuguese came and it was already established like this, and then they were benefiting from it, and then they were fading away? Or why Goa is so special?
So Goa, again, as far as I've read, what happened, like while the others were visiting different parts, the Portuguese visited Goa, And it was Goa as well as Pondicherry. So that region was hugely dominated by the Portuguese. So when they visited India, when they started coming for trade and then they started visiting that side, so the entire colony of Portuguese kind of settled in Pondicherry, Goa, and these. So a lot of the culture also comes from there, mixes it with every different state, and that's what we see today.
I heard that if you're from that region, you can actually apply for
Yes.
a passport from Portugal, correct?
Correct. Yes. So I have friends who have applied and have got the Portuguese citizenship also on the basis of being from Goa, native. Okay, Kerala. So if I talk about the airport, a green welcome to the world's first airport fully powered by the solar energy in Kerala. As far as I remember, and I was taught this back in college, I think it was India's first greenfield airport project as well. A lot of these airports in other places were developed more like from being a traditional airport, and then it got converted into a more redefined version. But the Cochin Airport was the first one to be developed completely outside with an entire different concept of being completely solar energy driven. So it was a very new concept in India back then. Again, lot of good food, lot of tradition, very beautiful, has the beaches. This is the famous boat race. You have a lot of these spa resorts and these wellness facilities available in the city. These boats are there where you can go spend your time, from the most basic houseboat to the most luxurious houseboats are available for you to then stay, drive around the area, and then park at a place, which is possible. A lot of tea estates, a lot of tea farming that happens, and a lot of culture that you can see in this picture of the person doing the performance.
And isn't it a communist state?
Only communist state in India, and only state where we have 100% literacy, and we call it as God's own country.
Yes, I specifically did not write that because I wanted to say it. That if you would like to add something, and then I would say that Kerala is called the God's own country because of the purity and the nature's blessings on the city.
Yeah, for me, it was a bit striking while I was in Kochi that the guy at the hotel who managed my check-in was called Stalin, and now the other guy was called Lenin.
Yeah.
I thought, okay. And, so I had the first time a picture with Stalin. It was a nice souvenir for me.
But it's not only Lenin and Stalin. I was surprised when with Michael, our VP of marketing, I was driving south from Trivandrum. We came through a small village, and there was a clothing store for men and kids, which was called Hitler's. I don't know if it's okay if I post that picture, but we couldn't believe it, honestly, and we thought actually perhaps that's where he was hiding, and he did survive the Second World War. It's no fun, really. It was really Hitler's. I will post that picture. I will never forget that.
Yeah. That's only one place in Kerala where communism is prevailing now. All others, it's vanished.
Really? Okay.
Kerala has a lot of backwater as well. I didn't put a picture, but yeah, basically a lot of backwater as well flowing from all the resorts. So you can go take the boat ride, and the boats are as small as you can just barely fit into it. So they'll take you for the entire ride across the backwaters, and then practically it's just the person who's riding it and you and your partner maybe. Very sweet. So islands, we have our islands, very beautiful. Andamans are there, Andaman and Nicobar, and then there's Agathi Islands, if you've heard of it. Andaman and Nicobar, Port Blair, these are a little more well known, and Agathi has little connectivity, but extremely beautiful, not so commercialized yet. So yeah, very beautiful and untouched. There's scuba diving available and other sports activities that are available, adventure sport activities that are available in this region. A lot of those.
Is it the Nicobar Islands where you need a permit to go?
Yes, generally they take that permit so that they can evaluate how many people can go and then manage the population around it. I think the only active volcano in India which sometimes erupts is in Andaman and Nicobar, very close to Port Blair Airport. Wildlife. So again, India has peacock is our national bird, but India has a lot of wildlife sanctuaries. Different places have different wildlife sanctuaries. There are national parks across. So around every city at a drivable distance, there are a lot of national parks that we visit. Famous for different animals. Certain places we get some more together.
Just an interesting fact on the animals. If we go back, obviously we have a lot of elephants in South Africa as well, and an easy way to spot the difference between elephant from India and elephant from Africa is the ears.
Yeah.
So if you look at the ears of the Indian elephant, it almost looks like India. Where if you go look at the ears of a African elephant, it looks like the eastern side of Africa.
That's a good observation.
I was always thinking small and large ear, but I like very
What
much
I
to
thought.
explain. It's
I like
much better to keep in mind.
Yeah, and they speak different languages too.
And ours would be more accustomed to people around, maybe.
So those 1,500 languages?
Yes, the 1,500 languages.
But now I'm a bit surprised because why there's no cow?
It's not
Kinda-
wild. It's
Yeah, but
domestic.
you have so many cows, and I would expect to see a cow at least.
Yeah, they're just a part of us. They're like a mother. I don't know if
Okay.
you heard that or not. A cow in India is treated like a mother. So
Yeah,
the
they're
one-
not in the resorts or the wildlife areas. They're on the roads.
they're just co-inhabited with us. They're very friendly. So sports, like I mentioned, cricket is a big thing. Polo is another. Football is our national sport. There's kabaddi. I don't know if you've heard of kabaddi. Kabaddi is another one that's now gaining interest. We've had like the famous IPLs that we held a lot of them for the cricket. We've now held these world championships for kabaddi in the recent years. There's hockey. Sorry, I think I said national sport. Football, it's hockey. I'm sorry. And tennis, and that's badminton. You were mentioning about Sania Nehwal.
Yes,
And
I
yes.
put the link up in the chat
Okay.
regarding that lady.
So that's Sania Nehwal, that's Sania Mirza, tennis, and that's Virat Kohli there. Okay. So spirituality and wellness, as you must be knowing, yoga is a practice which was born over 2,500 years ago in India. I was reading a lot about Ayurveda and how all of that was related back in the ancient days. So when I mentioned the ancient history, a lot of this yoga practices and Ayurveda was actually born around that time. So during the Indus Valley civilization is where all this was really born. A lot of evidences were there around it of being started at that point of time, and then eventually over the years it's really increased. So Swami Vivekanand here in the picture, the black and white picture, is actually one of the first Indian yoga teachers who went and spread the word of yoga and spread the practices across the world. This is Baba Ramdev, who's the more latest in the last few years. He's done a lot of work for spreading yoga and the practices and showing the wellness. But then again, there are a lot of camps and retreats around wellness and spas and yoga retreats that happens in India. And there goes our Prime Minister on the left-hand side celebrating the World Yoga Day International World Yoga Day, always at one of the major gatherings always. So he's a big fan of yoga as well. Okay, thanks. So weddings. I've tried to put together some original pictures again for the weddings. So wedding is like a festival in India. It's almost it takes away your entire week. It can take away your months in preparation, deal with thousands of people in the wedding on that one single day when you have to really get married.
And that's you. Top right, that's you.
Yes, that's me. That's me. And these are my friends. One ceremony, there's one, this is the henna that you call around. We call it the mehndi. So there's mehndi, there's one function wherein this entire thing is dropped on someone, and there's a thing wherein whoever this drops on, actually that's the next person to get married. It's just ridiculous. Then this is called a haldi, wherein an entire turmeric is put on you, like it's more considered like a herbal thing to be done so that the bride and the groom get beautified. So that's another ceremony that happens. There's another picture suddenly it's disappeared, but yeah, there's engagement ceremony where the rings are exchanged. There's a dancing ceremony before the wedding, and then the final wedding really happens where the family again gets together, eats all the different food that you saw, dances, celebrates together. And then the other picture was about a Sikh wedding happening in a Gurudwara. That's what typically happens in India. A traditional Sikh wedding would happen in a Gurudwara. A Muslim wedding would happen at another place wherein the two people are separated and the priest would go to each once and take the vows. And a Christian wedding again is in the church with the family and friends, and a reception followed thereafter. And then completely it becomes a personal choice thereafter, but it's like a festival in India. Okay, so Indian aviation. I'll do a quick one on the Indian aviation, the third largest domestic aviation market in the world. The major airlines in India are Indigo, SpiceJet, Vistara, Air Asia India, and Air India. Air India being our national carrier. In January 2020, Indigo became the first Indian carrier to have an aircraft fleet size of 250 planes and became the first airline to operate 1,500 flights per day. That's the fleet size. This is all pre-COVID. So 262, about 25 ATRs, 223 320s, and about 14 321s. Post-COVID, we still have the deliveries going on. We're still getting our latest 321s as per the biggest order that we'd made in the past. So we've started doing our redeliveries. We've started even sending our lease return aircrafts back. The crew have been extremely cooperative. We said, you know what, we're sending you with the aircraft. We don't know when we can get you back. But in this situation also, the crew volunteered and said, definitely that's what the company needs. So we had 1,500 daily flights, 3,600 pilots and 6,100 plus cabin crew, 11 crew bases and 73 destinations. About 160 daily flights on the ATRs, 370 pilots, 310 cabin attendants, 5 crew bases and 39 destinations. On an average, we're adding 4 to 5 aircraft every month, and the fleet grows by about 30% yearly. On an average, we used to add about 2 to 3 captain or a first officer every day. That's the number of releases we used to do. As per February 2020 OAG report, Indigo was the 6th highest operator in number of flights globally. That's the COVID impact in India. So that's where we ended at a very high note, and then the COVID hit us. So that's the current number of cases, about 19,08,254 cases. Out of that, 12,82,215 people have recovered, and there are about 586,244 active cases. But
you might have to describe the lack.
Yes, that is 2 million cases, and that's right, Jeremy. That's what you wanted me to do.
No, I'm just saying that
it's how do you arrive from lakh to what the numbers that we use, and also how you use the decimal commas is quite funky for us at times.
Correct. So 10 lakhs is 1 million. So about 2 million cases 0.5 active right now, and 39,000 deaths approximately currently. So if you see the graph, a month-on-month graph, the number of recoveries have grown quite a lot in the recent past. So we're seeing a recovering trend. So from where we are, from a nationwide lockdown implemented by the Prime Minister earlier in March, we have started the unlock progress. So every few weeks, the Prime Minister announces the next unlock procedure, and the country keeps getting an unlocked latest updates and guidelines on what all can be opened at a given point of time. As far as aviation goes, India resumed its scheduled domestic passenger flights from May 25 after a gap of nearly 2 months due to the COVID-19. Scheduled international passenger flights continue to remain suspended in the country, but again, during the entire lockdown itself, and especially after we started domestic operation, we've been doing a lot of international repatriation flights, which were earlier done mostly by the national carrier Air India, and then all the other private carriers also extended their services, and now every other airline is trying to get back more and more people who are stuck outside because of the situation, and we're bringing back more passengers every day. That's the opportunity during the crisis. All the crew members completely ready to serve the passengers. They have their entire suits, the face shields, masks, sanitization, the distances. We never used to do cargo earlier, so now we've gotten into the cargo business as well, and that has been one of the very critical business over the entire lockdown phase, and we did a lot of cargo flights. We were actually celebrating. We did the 1,000 mark, right, Jeremy? Last week.
Yes,
And
1,000
it's time to use the system from IBS for cargo.
Yes.
Sorry.
I think that was the commercial break. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the commercial break.
Normally, commercial breaks tend to be a little bit done with a little bit more enthusiasm. But yeah, eroding standards, slipping standards. It's okay, Christian.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marco, for the flowers.
So in cargo business, again, we started with the cargo hold cargo, and then we got approvals for the seats, on seats, and then the entire aircraft was modified accordingly. The bells and the wrapping and everything was modified again. Now, recently on the 1st of August, we've got our ATRs also approved for the cargo business. That's about it from my side. So post-COVID era, India awaits your presence. Thank you very much.
Wow, Aditi, that's
what a
really
sweet
amazing.
planner.
Thank you very much. I'm always amazed what people are presenting, and the creativity and the passion, and awesome. And also all these different regions you selected. It's exactly not Delhi, Mumbai, and so on. It was exactly the unexpected one. You got me.
Yeah, that was amazing. I want to go to India.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's definitely a couple of places I didn't know about, which it's now definitely on my list to go to. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's the sad thing about all these happy hours and the Corona pandemic. Now we have the time to find out about all these places that we want to go, and yet we can't go anywhere.
So Anuja, where do you go on vacation? Italy,
Italy.
Serbia,
I'm not going to
Italy?
change.
You're
Italy.
not going
Still
to
Italy.
No?
Still Italy.
I see. Really?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So what did you miss and what did surprise you in Aditi's presentation about your home country, Anuja?
Nothing much. It was beautifully crafted. I loved it. She mentioned every aspect. I was thinking whether she will forget Kerala or not. I'm happy that she included that aspect.
But Aditi, you are from North India.
I'm from North India.
So what are the South Indians famous?
South Indian famous, like she mentioned, South Indians, the gold is very famous in the South. Silk is very famous in the South, and the spices, I feel.
And Anuja, what are the North Indians famous for?
Food, obviously. Food, they are very famous.
And what do you not like about the South Indians?
We learned this from somebody else from India, and we were told South Indians are stubborn.
We may talk to each other in a negative way, but when we are in front of the world, we are together. So.
Aditi, did I see a head nodding like this at the moment? When?
Yeah.
And a very fast one. What does
Luckily, wherever I've been in the southern part of India, always I've gotten very, very friendly people. So
Absolutely.
no complaints ever.
Are you sure you got
inside India? We may kind of fight between each other, but
Fight with each other.
once we are outside India, it's like we are Indians. That's it.
So it's basically like the free German people we have.
Nice comparison.
Same thing.
Oh, sorry, MG.
Banter,
Marco is not German. He is Italian.
Yeah, that's why. Actually, that's where it's coming from.
That's where the problem lies.
Kerala is supposed to be said a black hole for gold. So much of gold is coming into Kerala houses and nobody knows where it is vanishing. So in every household, there will be like kilos of gold inside.
Is that how you keep your money, actually? Don't bring it to the bank. You just buy gold.
Right. And we go out to work outside, keeping money at home.
Yeah, everyone you see, every lady or a man, I think everyone would be wearing a lot of gold, I think.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
I don't wear gold normally, but for marriage, I was fully clad in gold. So I cannot even look into that picture now.
Is this something you also get from your family during the marriage, actually, to give
parents
money?
Parents give it to me. So it's like an asset for me.
So by the way, we have in this call all country presenters, because Christine made Canada, Gabriela made Brazil, Jeremy New Zealand, Zindra Latvia, MG South Africa, Aditi India. So what do we do with you, Anuja? You haven't presented anything.
I am actually an active participant and motivating everybody. So somebody should be there also, right? On the other side.
Maybe
I like that idea of the nodding training for on one of our virtual happy hours.
Or you're presenting the federal state of Niedersachsen.
Niedersachsen.
I do remember that we had that discussion that it would be interesting to have a presentation of Germany through the lens or the eyes of a foreigner.
Okay.
Which actually Jeremy could very, very well do India.
Then you'll notice he said yes.
And Anuja can do Germany.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I don't think I follow Aditi on.
But we can also ask Jason whether he wants to make another USA presentation, maybe.
No one wants to hear about USA.
I think, Jason, now you should add about India.
What's
your favorite destination?
Half of that was new to me.
Yeah.
But what was for you, let's say, the biggest challenge when you moved to India?
Just everything's difficult here. Everything to get is difficult. You can't. Nothing's easy.
I mean, for me, from a German perspective, what I learned about India was, and I didn't have nothing to do with India before I joined IBS. I wasn't in India. I didn't go there. But, Germans are all about administration. But the Indians are worse. That's what I learned.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Bureaucracy.
There's nothing that's quick and convenient. Everything's a half a day affair. If you can get something done in 2 or 3 hours, that's fast.
But there is a difference, Christian. If you have money, it will be quick. Like 5 minutes, everything will be at your home. No administration.
Okay, that's how it works. But not on the embassy to get a visa in Frankfurt, actually.
Oh, no. And except all other things. No visa, passport and visa, it's a separate thing.
Yeah, but
other than that, everything.
But that's visa. I'm very much impressed because it's all done electronically. Usually you do this online. 18 hours later, you have already your visa. So that's what I like very much. It's way better than all the other countries all over. Yeah, of course, the e-visa.
Daniel, you would have liked my visa on arrival a few years ago when I came to India.
We need to talk about this, Daniel, because you asked me of my visa applying company when you wanted to go to India.
No, that was Russia.
Oh, it was Russia. You're right. Sorry.
Russia, India, this is motive.
Same, yeah.
In other places also, like even for getting a passport, like I had to do my passport renewal within 2 or 3 days. In the new process, I got my passport renewed, and it's not now it's about 5 years back.
Wow.
So things are changing now here as well.
And you are very much digital because you have this ATA system. Yeah. Every citizen has his unique number. Yeah, in Germany we don't have that. Yeah? So I think in Germany we are trailing behind a bit.
But I think it also has something to do. You need to manage such a big population. The Chinese have the same thing actually.
Yes,
and that's what it's needed for.
But the
Chinese have ETA?
I mean, you don't have person code.
No.
Germans.
No, we have a social security number, we have a passport, but we have not a unique identifier number which you're using for, let's say, from birth till death. That's not existing.
Oh my God, I never knew that. That's really weird.
Well, we have a bunch of numbers, so we can keep a number of offices and departments and ministries busy. So we have a tax number, social security number. Yeah, but there's not like a unique ABC 1, 2, 3 is Christian Gessner from birth to death number.
No.
Okay, for Latvians, it's always your birth date. So, I don't know, 220281. And then a 5-letter code based on where you were born, which is first signs. And after that, the number which number you were when you were born in that hospital. So.
Yeah, Marco and me, we are planning to make a workshop in June next year to understand this better.
And we'll travel lightly.
Exactly. We will travel lightly to Latvia in order to make this workshop.
Sorry, Diti, I just want to say thank you. That was an awesome presentation. I unfortunately have to leave. And cheers, and I'll see everybody at the next one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Take care. Bye.
No, thank you, Aditi. I think great job, and it's great to have you with us. And how are you feeling now? Are you feeling relaxed now?
Yes. I think right in the middle of the presentation, I was fine.
Good, very good. But I was convinced before you started that it will be exactly like this.
Thanks, Daniel, for the confidence. I think I would generally, after every presentation or something, I would message Jason. Jason, please tell me how did I do? So now that I have him right here, I can ask him that.
But interestingly, now speaking about it, I'm just realizing that you forgot to mention that India is outstanding in terms of female pilots in the world, because you have the highest percentage all over the world with female pilots. In let's say, I think Lufthansa has 7%, United 7%, and you have the double figure. And we discussed this in the women's panel. And I think that's something which is outstanding, where I think the world needs more Indian approach, because I think in this women's panel it was a big topic, why female pilots have it so difficult and so on. And I think you made a nice statement in this aviation women's panel.
So glad. Yes, that's true. Like India, anyway, like at least in Indigo, I could say, and that's what I mentioned in the aviation panel also, that Indigo, we never feel that way. I think everyone's given equal opportunity based on the efforts. So.
And 33% females also in management.
Yes. And yeah, more than 50% employed. Of course, cabin crew are all female, so that takes up the ratio higher too. And the highest women pilots, I think about 13% or 14% was of the population is Indian women.
Very good. Is there any remaining question from Canada, Germany, Brazil, India?
I have a question. Aditi, congratulations for the presentation. I love it. And I met a guy from India last year, and he told me, I forgot the name, sorry.
What is his telephone number? Can you help me?
Yeah.
Do you know him, maybe?
I don't have the contact anymore. But he mentioned a story about. I'm not sure if I understand the story, so I will ask you, and maybe you can answer because he mentioned about a very old temple which had a dark color in India. And at some point, people started to clean it, and then they realized that the temple was made of gold, and a lot of items inside the temple as well. And I'm not sure if I understood the complete story, but I Googled it to tell my kids, and I never find something about. Is that real?
Yes, I have heard about that story too. It's one temple in Kerala. It's called it's the name of the place is Thiruvananthapuram, Trivandrum, the capital of Kerala. So that is named after a god, Ananda. That's Ananda. That's Mahavishnu. That's a Lord Vishnu. So there is a big idol. He's actually lying down. He is resting on a snake, lying down, putting his head in the lap of his wife. So fully it was black. When somebody cleaned the leg, they realized that it is made of full gold. And during the time of invasion from Tipu or somebody, they had actually made it black so that he's not picking up and looting the things. And on the place where he's sitting, there are 3 or 4 underground kellars in which there is a lot of gold lying now. And it can be like we can solve all the poverty of India with that gold. That much gold is there, but it cannot be utilized because it's like a UNESCO property or an antique property now. So it's lying there.
Okay. Thank you. Really nice.
Temples, Anuja, right? That most of the temples, wherever the excavation actually happened, a lot of gold was always found in all the temples.
Yeah, this was never found. And there is a lot of mystery stories about the locks where it is opening with a particular sound. If it is not correct, the snakes will come out. So there is a lot of stories running around it. And even one cellar is not yet open. And now some court proceedings are going on. So that temple is something which is an amazing lot of wealth.
Okay, can you write the name in the chat?
I will just message.
Anuja,
thank you.
Rome, where they get this golden point on their how do you call it, on their head? Because I was there last in July, and I think you walk along and everybody gets undressed, wears something very special, and goes inside of the temple. Is that the one? It is in the center of Trivandrum.
It should be the same. It's one famous temple in Trivandrum. It's called Ananda Padmanabha Swami Temple. So I will just message it.
It's beautiful. I was there.
You should be. Normally, that's one place where whoever is coming to Kerala or Trivandrum goes.
Yeah. But the thing is, they wouldn't let you into the temple. Wear these special clothes.
Yeah. And again, I think you should be Hindu also, right? I don't think you will be allowed because you have to be a Hindu to be inside. And even we cannot go inside with pants or anything. You have to wear a dhoti or a skirt.
Yeah, then it was that place. No.
But there is another famous place in Trivandrum. It's Techno Park, and there is the IBS headquarters.
It's a temple,
That's where gold is produced.
But it doesn't look like India. It looks more like Silicon Valley when you go there.
If there is no other question, last chance to ask it. I can only say again, thank you, Aditi. I'm looking very much forward to your appearance on the Virtual Ops 2020 Third Aviation Women's Panel and on all the upcoming virtual happy hours. Was a great presentation. I learned a lot. And I'm sure once we put it up in YouTube and LinkedIn, it will let the internet explode. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
everybody.
It was great.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
See you again.
Bye.
Bye.